Chris Paul, reportedly, expected to be a part of the starting five for the Golden State Warriors in 2023 and will apparently play in short spurts or about 5 minutes, according to ESPN's Marc Spears. And he said this in an appearance on Yahoo Sports' Vincent Goodwill's podcast, Good Word with Goodwill, and this is what he had to say. I do expect him to start. I think it's like 5-minute spurts. I don't know that they really want his minutes to be high, but that's the gist I'm getting. This isn't an opinion that he's expected to start. It's what I'm hearing. He's never not started in his career. And that's true. He's played a bunch of games. Not a single time has he ever been considered a backup guard. Now, the projected starting five, I tried to find a projected starting five, and the closest one I got that honestly technically makes the most sense, but I think is, we'll talk about it obviously, is Steph Curry is the starting point guard, then Chris Paul the shooting guard, Klay Thompson the 3, Andrew Wiggins the 4, and then Draymond Green, 6 or 6'9", Draymond Green being your 5. So I want to know, do you think Chris Paul should be a part of the starting lineup alongside Steph Curry?
I don't think the Warriors really knew what they were doing when they picked Chris Paul, when they brought him in, right? Because the starting five for the Warriors has always been pretty good, and the main knock on it has been they aren't big enough. With the big teams, with the muscle guys up front, can dominate them somewhat. But the starting five of Looney, Wiggins, Curry, Green, Thompson been one of the best, right? And you're going to put Chris Paul in there to get smaller? That's what's going to happen, right? Somebody's got to sit down. I don't think it's Looney that sits down. I think it's Wiggins. I think Wiggins is the one that's going to be the sixth man now. And I don't think that's the best move for them either. So I'm not sure what they're doing here. I'm not sure that they know what they did. It was not the guy that normally makes the picks and has the strategy for the players, for the Warriors that did this. It was Mike Dunleavy Jr. He's their new GM. He's the one that made this selection and took Chris Paul. So I'm not sure they know what they're doing. That's my conclusion.
Well, here's the thing. No matter what you do, as soon as you input Chris Paul into the starting lineup, it gets significantly worse. Last season, now the Warriors last season, we all know they weren't very good. They had an incredible home record. You go on the road, and it's like they completely fall apart. What was shocking, and I still can't believe this is true just based on, how they looked. When Curry, Klay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Looney were out there on the court together, that starting five, their net rating, so I think it's like points per 100 possessions, was 10 higher than the Denver Nuggets. They were technically, based on net rating, the best starting five in the entire NBA last season. So no matter what you do, if you take a single player out of the lineup, they get worse. And you're right. I ripped on them, and at least, to start the year, I think they went like 0-7 on the road. And it was so difficult to dissect because they had all these players. They still had Draymond. They had Curry, who was going off. Klay Thompson wasn't too bad throughout the year. Honestly, this is one of his best years in a few years. You had Wiggins there. And the big question was, what the hell is going on with the Warriors? Why can't they win on the road? I think it's a lot of things. The first off, as soon as you take Steph Curry off, the plus minus as soon as Curry comes off the court is drastically different. And we saw that in the playoffs. When Curry was out there on the floor, the Warriors were winning left, right, front, and center. Then you take them off, and that's where the Kings started to make massive comebacks. They obviously couldn't win the series, but they brought them to 7, which was surprising to most. But they were very bad on some key statistics. The first one would be free throw percentage. Dead last in free throw attempts. They're a small team. They don't have a big guy who can just dish it to get fouled down low. We saw what Giannis was in the free throw attempts. We see what Jokic was. We see what Embiid is on free throw attempts. All have massive numbers because they're a guy that can say, hey, let's go. We're going to take the ball. We're going to drive down low. We're going to get a foul call. We're going to make a couple free throws. They were also 25th in blocks. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're a very, very small team. You don't have a guy that could, jump over players and get blocks. They were 30th in turnovers, a very, very sloppy team. That could have been because Jordan Poole kind of screwed with the culture, him and Draymond Green. They had that gigantic punch that kind of screwed the season over potentially. They were also 28th in personal fouls, which once again digs into just playing dumb basketball. Maybe lack of culture. Who knows? They were not good in offensive rebounds. That could be because they don't really have anyone to get offensive rebounds. 2-point percentages, they were pretty low in that as well. 2-point attempts, I should say, that they were pretty low. So the team all around wasn't all that great. And the fact that you're going from like a near 7-foot player like Kevon Looney, you're going to replace him with 6'6" Draymond Green at the 5. You're already, on average, the smallest team in the NBA. Now,
the Wiggins down instead.
Wiggins is their second best defender. Why would you put down your second? Draymond's
it's
probably
tough.
number 1. Rebounding is going to be non-existent. But however, it really depends. If that 5-minute stretch where Chris Paul's out there to start the game, if that's brutal, you're getting absolutely smoked on the boards, you can't do nothing, you're fouling a lot, you got to change it quickly. You can't let that play on because it's right there. It's smacking you in the face.
Yeah.
This is not a young player that you got to see, develop. This is a veteran. This is a near 40-year-old veteran in the NBA. So if it doesn't work, you got to change it immediately.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, it's going to get people all upset too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Chris Paul will be one of them, and he's a Hall of Fame player. So it could create a chemistry problem with the team and a team camaraderie problem,
right?
I think. So I think they took a big risk taking him. And he's never won a championship.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he's had some bad luck along the way. Maybe it has something to do with the way he plays and interacts with the other players. I don't know.
Could be.
19 years he's been in the league and hasn't won a championship yet. I'm not so sure why they think he's going to win it with them.
Well, not only that, Draymond believes they could. That he's wondering why can't they win 2 more championships? Well, I'll tell you why. Look at what the Lakers did to the Warriors. They just dominated them down low. I mean, if Sabonis did, even close to what he was doing during the regular season, the Kings should have won that series hands down.
He didn't have a good series.
He didn't have a good series whatsoever, and it also hurt that De'Aaron Fox had that injury with the tip of his shooting hand, tip of his middle finger on his shooting hand. So what the Warriors did, I mean, to have that bad of a road record, to lose the first 2 games to the Kings, and then Steph Curry going off when he needed to, I mean, without Curry, that series would have been over. They could have been maybe swept in that series without Curry. So I really don't know. You're going to get slower. The play styles don't exactly blend perfectly. What Chris Paul is, he's not a 2 guard. He's really not a 2 guard. So Curry would need to change. Curry and Chris Paul would need to swap their positions. Curry goes down to the 2. Chris Paul, who's a legitimate point guard, goes to the 1. So I don't know if this will work out. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Warriors do to start the season. I would say give it 2-3 weeks. If you're getting smoked, to start the game in those first 5 minutes, something's got to change. Either put him on the back 5.
You know what I do? I think it's too much of a risk to make him a starter right off the bat, because if it blows up, then the rest of the season is going to be affected by it. I'd start him off the bench. I would not make him the starter.
Well, now
you've got the 5 that you have been one of the best in the NBA, and you can't sacrifice the height. Chris Paul is injury prone. Better to give him a little bit fewer minutes and bring him off the bench as a spark. I wouldn't start him.
I wouldn't either. And reportedly, they signed a new center. I'm forgetting his name, but they're also bringing in Dwight Howard to potentially be a part of that team. So they might bring back.
They're going ancient.
Yeah,
let's go ancient.
Yeah, apparently they want to bring the every used to be phenomenal player in the NBA. They're just bringing let's bring them on down. We'll see how they do.
That usually winds up with most of them hurt most of the year.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, Dwight Howard, I think, was playing in Taiwan and it was absolutely dominating in Taiwan.
I can understand that. How many 7-footers are there in Taiwan?
Who knows? He was dropping, I think, like 30 points a game, 15 to 20 rebounds a game, and he was blowing up over there. And now, could he be playing for Golden State? I mean, they would be the oldest team, and of course that would help him in size. But I mean, Dwight Howard, no one wanted him in the NBA. Hell, he's trying to campaign for Team USA, and he said that if he doesn't get picked for Team USA for the Olympics, that I think he said he's going to go play in Taiwan and apparently crush United States. That's what he was saying supposedly. I don't know if that's. I guarantee you that's not true. But it's very interesting to see what the Warriors are doing. They're trying to rebuild a culture that was fractured last season, and bringing in a piece like Chris Paul when their clear deficit was size. I don't know if that's a good idea, and I think that could blow up right in their face.
I think it was, it remains to be seen, but I think it was a high-risk move.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.